Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace of the Visionetics Institute dropping in on you on this Sunday morning. I use Sundays as a day of reflection and a day of preparation. This is the day that I lay out my week and beyond. I reevaluate my progress. I look at and examine what things I think need to be addressed, uh, changed, or given more focus and time to spend with my family. Um, and I hope whatever way you use it, whether it is a day of spiritual engagement, a day where you fellowship in your respective churches, whatever it is, that it also becomes a day of new beginnings, a day of saying, okay, I've gotten this done or I didn't get this done, and this is another chance to embark upon an incremental time of 7 days to make something happen in my life. And that I'm going to invest myself fully in making that happen. This is something that should be done constantly. I try my best to do it daily. I try to look at myself on a daily basis and ask myself, when I wake up in the morning, and when I go to bed at night, did I do everything today that I could have done to make my situation better, to advance my family, to put my family in a better situation, to increase my influence on the people around me and those who have access to me. It's extremely important that you examine your life consistently. I believe it was Socrates that says the life unexamined isn't worth living. And I believe that. I believe that when you fail to examine yourself, you start to miss things. You start to become complacent. You start to lose focus and a sense of direction. And so many other things happen when you don't look at yourself. It starts to become easier to blame external forces and other people for the things that aren't happening in your life when you're not examining self first. Anytime something is not happening in my life, I don't look outward, I look inward. Does it mean that I am ignorant of the fact that there are people out there who want to see me fail and who may be directly attempting to contribute to my failure? No, I'm aware of it, but I'm also aware of the fact that, as the old African adage says, um, if there is no enemy within, the enemy on the outside can do us no harm. And I truly believe that. I believe that the more you work on you, the less those on the outside have the capacity to negatively impact your life. So I hope that you're doing that. This is not a 5 minutes of fire things. I don't do 5 minutes of fire on Sunday, but I do want to share with you today. I wanted to talk to you. Before I do that, I want to make a quick announcement. Uh, uh, Based on popular demand, we're bringing back the rapid change session, the free 30-minute rapid change session, and the business breakthrough session, which are two different uh, types of engagement where you get to work with me for a minimum of 30 minutes. And we look at where you're at in your life and we literally make progress in that 30 minutes. We get something done. Uh, and trust me, it's possible. It's just a matter of knowing what you need, what you want, and what's important to you, and then identifying the one major thing that's in your way. And when you identify that, you start to gain an understanding almost immediately that you have the capacity to change your life. Number one is, I think that that's important. So in the box is a questionnaire. I didn't put both questionnaires. So if you want the business breakthrough, if you're looking to do something with your business and you're struggling in a particular area and you want to advance yourself, you want that particular questionnaire, just email the email address that's in this particular questionnaire and we'll send that one out to you. But fill it out, send it in, and someone from the support team will contact you to schedule a time for your breakthrough session with me. And I'm actually looking forward to it. You guys are working the crap out of me with that because it takes a lot of time. But I mean, I absolutely enjoy it. And I have to admit, I learn a lot by actually getting to work with so many different people on so many different areas and having the chance to apply the disciplines that I have spent the majority of my adult life mastering. It's exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. So anybody, now here's the rule though, because I'm real big on people uh, taking accountability and ownership of the things they want in life and not trying to creep by and, pick and pluck. So this only applies to people who have not had a face-to-face with me or a one-on-one encounter with me. Because some people are go and try to find every little special they can find to keep jumping in front of me and not being willing to invest in themselves. And this is not what this is about. This is about saying, hey, I'm going to jump out there and say, hey, look, here's a minimum of 30 minutes of my time, which is valuable. And we're going to get something done in your life. Only thing I'm asking you to invest this time is your time. And then if nothing else, you leave with a new perspective. And that's it. No strings attached. If you decide you want to work with me, great. But what I don't want happening is people surfing promos, trying to continuously get in front of me. That's not what this is about. This is about for people who really are kind of like, man, I wonder if that's worth it. I wonder if that could really work. And you don't know, hey, sit down with me, nothing to lose but 30 minutes of your time and come out and find out what this is really all about. Because I'm telling you, life change is possible. So let's talk about why I'm here today. I constantly engage people who want something out of life, but they look at it and there's this paradigm that they're living their life by, this lens through which they view life. And it says that it's impossible, that it's too far, that suffering is your lot in life, that you were born poor, you'll be poor, that you can't break free of this addiction to whatever it is. You can't break free of the addiction to alcohol, to drugs, to cocaine, to gambling, to sex, to the addiction to the need of being approved and validated by others. All of these different things are things that hold you back. What amazes me is there are a multitude of studies out there now that show that more than 85%, somewhere around 87% of America's population get up every day and go into jobs that they hate. 80%. Another extant study, which is kind of dated now, but it's a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure you can find a lot of empirical and pragmatic evidence, data that would come behind and support what I'm about to share. But it shows that I want to say like 75% are greater. It's a very high number. I can't remember exactly. First, people having their first heart attacks happens between the hours of 8 and 9 on Monday morning. What happens at 8 and 9 on Monday morning that increases the risk of a heart attack? Stress. What are people stressing about at 8 or 9, between 8 and 9 on a Monday morning? Going into a job that they absolutely hate, a job that robs them of their dignity, a job that sucks the spiritual life out of them, a job in which they're being disrespected. Hey Tia, yeah, you finally caught me on the live. And I'm happy to see all the things you're doing out there. I mean, I remember when we first came in contact. Congrats on all the things you're doing and the moves you're making. Keep going. I'm proud of you. Look, you've got people going into work, the jobs they hate, jobs that they have convinced themselves they absolutely have to work, which is not true. But that's the belief. And the thing is, there's nothing more powerful than a belief in your life, because the belief will determine your thinking, the belief will determine your decision making, the belief will determine the amount of energy and effort you put into any solution. If you don't believe that a solution will work, you're not going to invest in the energy and the effort that it takes to make that solution work. You will jump out there, and if you feel enough people are watching, you will try it, but you really won't engage it. Why? Because you don't believe it. So you need to believe that something different is possible in order to engage it with the force and veracity necessary to bring about a change. And see, so you got to work on your thinking first. So the thing is, many of you look at your life. Here's the thing. The question I've got to ask you now about everything I'm sharing with you now is why not now? Most of you that come to me, matter of fact, all of you in some way, come to me and you sit up and you say, hey, look, this is what I want out of life. This is where I want to be. There's something on the inside of me that's telling me this is where I need to be. There's something on the inside of me that's pushing me, that's driving me, that's demanding this of me. I can't sleep. I'm so dissatisfied. And why are you dissatisfied? Here's why you're dissatisfied. You have a reality or a condition that you're currently living in, and that condition does not meet the idea, the vision, the blueprint of where you feel your life should be. And when your reality and your idea of what should be don't line up, that's what robs you of your happiness. If you're not happy, it's because your life isn't aligning with what you believe it should be aligning with. And there's this emptiness. Now, there's this illusion that impacts your operating system. And if you followed me before, you know when I say operating system, I'm actually talking about how you view life and your opinion of what life is being plugged into your brain and into this massive, unbelievably powerful supercomputer called your brain that can go out and actually find the solution to anything in life. It's that powerful and it's that effective. The problem is we're programming the wrong operating system into it. We're plugging in illusions into our operating system. We are using erroneous ideas and beliefs into our self-talk is negative. And so what that means is look at a portion of your operating system being a search engine, like Google. When you go to use Google, it is only effective as the keywords that you type into it. You can't go find the solution to eczema or whatever one of them skin conditions is by typing in the best computer or whatever you want to type in. Whatever you type in is going to produce the search results. So Google is, now you can go out and say, on Google and say the 10 reasons why people fail at starting businesses. Guess what Google is going to get you? A bunch of articles on the first 3 or 4 pages that tell you all the reasons why businesses fail. Why? Because that's what you plugged into the search engine. Now, are there 100,000 articles out there that show you how businesses can survive even in the most trying times, how some businesses have become economy proof, meaning that no matter which way the economy or the market swings, they find a way to survive? Are there articles out there like that? Yes. Will Google get them for you with those keywords? No. You're going to have to actually go in and type in, market proofing your business, or how to get your business to survive no matter what the market is doing. Type in whatever to get those answers. It's the same thing with your life. If all you're typing in is, I can't, your mind is finding all the reasons you can't, and it's putting it in front of you. If all you focus on is lack, what you don't have, your brain is going to find ways to illuminate that lack and emphasize that lack and exaggerate that lack. And the bigger that lack becomes, the more overwhelming it becomes, and the more difficult it becomes to even embrace the idea that getting out of that situation is possible. You're literally feeding the monster that is oppressing you, which is all within yourself. When you sit up and you're constantly focused on what's not right in your life versus what's right and what's possible, you're going to consistently put your brain to work to reinforce the idea. That's what the brain does. The brain is neutral. The brain is not sitting up saying, I'm gonna go out and find whatever, despite what you're thinking. The brain says, tell me what you want and I'll go get it for you. And instead of saying, I want to be more financially independent, I want to be a better husband, I want to be a better wife, I want to be a better parent, I want to be a successful business owner, you're talking about your current condition as if it's your lifelong mission. And your brain is reading it that way because your brain does not interpret past, present, or future. It sees everything in the now. Your subconscious sees everything as being now. When you think and consistently think about all the things that used to go wrong in your life, all the things that have happened badly to you, you are not sitting up and reminiscing in your subconscious like you are in your conscious. You're not going back and visiting all of that in your subconscious. In your subconscious, you are literally living it again. And it's reinforcing the idea that that's what your life is about. And it's going to force your brain. The reticular activating system is filtering constantly what to give you and what not to give you based on what you're telling your subconscious you're focused on. What you focus on is what you feel. Now, here's the thing. Stop looking for all the answers. What do I mean by that? You got so many people out there that know that there's something better out there for them. You got so many people that are sitting up and going, you know what? I can do more than what I'm doing. I can do more as a husband. I can do more as a wife. I can do more as a parent. I can do more as a business owner. I can do more as an investor. I can have a greater impact on the world around me. I can do so much more than what I'm doing now. And you know that in order to do this greater thing in your life, in order to embark upon a mission of ascension, that it's going to require you to change. See, in order to have more than what you have now, you got to become more than what you are now. And that is that simple. In other words, that a lot of people out there struggling because you're focusing more on what you want instead of more on growing. See, when you decide that you're going to be a better husband, you need to start talking to men you look at and say are great husbands. You need to start reading books that talk about how to navigate the labyrinthine corridors of marriage successfully. You need to start looking at ways to improve the way you interpret your wife's behavior. You need to start looking at ways to understand the code in which she speaks, because she's speaking in woman code and expecting you to decipher it. And the quicker you get to being able to deciphering her woman code and understanding that when she says it's okay, that it's not really okay, and you need to understand that you got to go in a little deeper and be a little more subtle, but you got to figure out what the real issue is, and that okay doesn't mean okay, because in man code, when I say I'm good, but that's not how it works for them. So you've got to be able to do that. But in order to do that, you can't just sit up and talk about how bad your marriage is, because see, then your brain is going to say, okay, the marriage is bad. Let me find out how. And it's going to identify every little thing that happens that doesn't make you feel good. And now all of a sudden, you're starting to get this big balloon of problems that is a representation of how you see your marriage. And it's not because your marriage is actually that bad. It's because you decided to focus on the negative and you told your brain the same thing. And now your brain is amplifying every negative thing and completely filtering out the good. See, that's the one thing that we have to have as humans, is this equilibrium along the line of our perceived reality. So if I'm sitting up and my mind is this thing is bad, in order to maintain sanity and a sense of mental stability, mental and emotional stability, my brain will filter out the things that move against what I'm believing at the moment. That cognitive dissonance exists in a lot of different ways. See, when you're sitting up and you hold this one belief, and then you're constantly being barraged by things that challenge that belief, it creates a real mental or emotional discomfort called dissonance. And this cognitive dissonance, it exists in every area of life. You know, we've talked about it a lot in the Black community as far as race, and that both white people and Black people have this cognitive dissonance when new information is, but that happens in every area of life. If you're sitting up and you're talking about how awful your marriage is, or how, check this out, not just in the area of marriage, let's say you're sitting up and you're saying that there's absolutely no way that I can build wealth if somebody doesn't give me a chance. And then constantly you're hearing people saying that nobody will give me a chance, but I may. You don't want to hear that. Why? Because it's moving against your belief. It's challenging this entire notion that holds you into place and justifies why you haven't made a move yet. So if I actually start to take that in, not only does it make me uncomfortable, it puts me in a position where now I no longer have a reason or a justification for not taking action. So I will automatically filter it out because it doesn't make me feel comfortable. And the brain is automatically doing that. The reticular activating system is automatically doing that. It's saying, nah, this doesn't align with the belief, and this is not what he's focused on now. So, nah, this is not what she's thinking about now. So, nah. And so you study writing this narrative based on how you're thinking and how you're seeing life, and you're focusing on the wrong thing. And here's this thing. The people out there that know something's better, and they know they've got to change themselves, they keep looking for all the answers. They keep looking for the right opportunities. They keep waiting on the right time. When the kids leave the house, when little Bobby graduates, when this happens, and when the finances get a little better, and I can afford to do this. There is no perfect opportunity. There is no right time. What happens is, I can't believe, is it Norman Vincent Peale that says that those that get on in this world are those that wake up in the morning and decide to go out and find the opportunity they need. And then if one does not exist, they create one. That's it. It's no perfect opportunity. Nothing is going to align. The stars are not going to align with everything laid out for you. So you can sit up and say, I can see all my steps laid out in front of me. I got this. That's not going to happen. You're going to have a level of faith that says that I'm going to take the first step, even though I can't see the stair. I can't even see the first step, but I definitely don't see the top of the stairway. But I'm going to trust that if I step out, that there's going to be something that I can plant my foot on long enough to regain my footing and take another step. I will find the way to get it done. A lot of what you're going to need in order to go where you really say you want to go, you don't have now. That's why you're where you're at. That's okay. That's all of us. It's just in sitting up saying, you know what, I don't have all the answers now. But that's not what it is. I think that Les Brown points this out best out of all the people that I've seen address this issue, is that when you are making up in your mind that you are going to go out and do something new in your life, you're going to go out and do something awesome in your life. How you're going to get it done is absolutely none of your business. And I think that puts it down. Why is he saying that? Because rationally, we have been trained that before you do anything, you've got to figure it out. Before you commit to anything and before you do anything, you got to have all the pieces of the puzzle. But that's not how you get to greatness. You don't get to greatness by pooling all the pieces of the puzzle, because some pieces of the puzzle are not going to come until you've got other pieces in place. So in other words, there are certain things you can't have until you already take a step or two and do something with yourself. There are people that are not going to deal with you where you're at right now, but will gladly deal with you once you take step 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you think you're going to have all the pieces of the puzzle in place, you've got to do that as you graduate and move forward. This is a life of faith. This is a life of sitting up and looking at yourself and saying, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I should be, but I thank God I'm not where I used to be. And I'm not where I used to be because I decided to take that step. I decided to move forward. I decided to ignore my reality. There has to be a spiritual development inside of you that coincides with your emotional progression and maturation and your mental and intellectual progression and maturation. And in this spiritual development, in this spiritual maturation, there has to be a part of your spirit that resides within the deepest recesses of your soul that is acquainted with your purpose, your potential, and your destiny. And in this spirit is an understanding of the capacity you have to get through the difficulties of life. See, I'm talking about understanding life on a different level. And in your spirit, you know what's possible despite of what you're currently dealing with. And what happens when you have a spirit that simply knows who you are and refuses to acquiesce to anything less? This is what happens when you have a spirit that has grown to the point of knowing what your potential possesses. When you get into a moment of difficulty, hardship, setbacks, delays, disappointments, all these things that are part of life, it's a condition. That means that it's temporary. It's not your state. It's not your lot in life. It's not who you're going to be forever. It's simply a moment in time that you have to take on and beat. And but when you engage this difficult moment, these circumstances that come, that are part of life, and you're looking at this difficult circumstances, the reality of your consciousness examines it and says, I acknowledge that this situation in front of me is real. But see, this is the power of the mind, the power of the mind, the power of faith. While your rational, conscious mind acknowledges that reality, at the same time, your spirit is disagreeing with it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your rational mind sees what it sees in the tangible and material world as being there. But your spirit disagrees with it. It doesn't say that it doesn't exist. It simply says, this is not who I am. It says, this is not where I'm going to stay. It says that this is not going to destroy me. It says that I will overcome it. It says that there's something more on the other side of this challenge. And then that's what drives you to push through. That's what drives you to take a step. That's what drives you to stand up and do something beyond what you've done in the past. Let me explain something to you. It's real simple. The equation of progression in life is simple, yet very few get it. Unless you change what you've done over the last 6 years to be where you're at, you will be in the same place in the next 6 years, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, any increment. If you want to change the current position, you've got to change your mindset. You got to change your thinking. You got to change the way you view things. If life has consistently gave you the same thing, it is simply returning to you in harvest what you planted and thought, and you've got to change that. And a lot of us are functioning under the paradigms created by social conditioning. A lot of us are holding values, beliefs, and principles and everything else based on a social paradigm that was pushed upon us by parents, by school systems, by religions, by governments, by community organizations. Everybody except you has chosen what you will do with your life, what will be acceptable and what will not be acceptable, what will be the ceiling of your performance and what will be what stands beyond and what you are capable. All of these things are coming from influences and the beliefs that you accept. There are no limits in your life, literally no limits in your life. The limits you have are those that you have adopted and accepted as beliefs. Your mind says, okay, this can be done, that can't be done. And when you say it, it is. I think it was Henry Ford that stood up and said, the one who believes they can and the one who believes they can't are usually both right. You got to understand, this world is full of devices and machines and mechanisms that were created by people who did what was said couldn't be done. So don't tell me it's something impossible. It just hasn't been done yet. And why in the world couldn't it be you who does it? That's the question. Why not now? Why are you sitting there knowing that there's something better for you and not taking action? Why not now? Why not make today the day that you decide that my life is going to be different than it's been the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25 years? Why not right now decide that, you know what? I don't care what the past has brought for me. What I care about is what I'm bringing to the future, what I'm going to demand of myself, what standards I'm going to set. How am I going to meet the world? Because see, God, the universe, life, however you want to speak of it, will only meet you at the level of your expectations. It will only meet you you're only going to get on a consistent level what you expect out of life. Now, the crazy thing is life is sitting there waiting on you to demand something, and it will give you what you demand when you demand it in faith and step out and take action and move toward. The universe has no option but to conspire with you to ensure that you have it. But you got to believe it yourself. And your action will be reflective of what you truly believe. See, that's one thing to sit up and walk around and put on this persona, this facade for everybody else and talk about what you believe. See, but I'm not looking at what you're saying. I'm looking at what you're doing. Not whether or not you got it easy, not whether or not you got the car you talking about, not whether or not you living where you say you're going to live, but whether or not you really have that mindset and that mentality of believing that it's coming, even when nobody else can see it. See, you got to be willing to call, willing and capable and committed to calling things that are not as though they were. You got to stop living in now and thinking your now is dictating your future. Start talking to the universe and telling the universe, this ain't good enough. No, no, this ain't what I ought to. Take it back. Bring me back what I want. It's waiting on you to raise your expectations. Yeah, you didn't know your father. That's tough. I can account to that. I never met mine. First time I saw my father was at his funeral. I understand how devastating that could be. I can understand how you could spend so much of your time trying to prove your value to a person that doesn't even see you there. I understand that. I understand that you were molested as a child and that robbed you of your innocence and it damaged you and all of that. But that's so much more than that moment in your life. That moment didn't define who you were. It defined who they were. And now it's time for you to take ownership of your life and define who you are. Oh yeah, I understand. Coming from poverty can be tough. Not knowing where your next meal is coming from, not knowing if you're going to get home from school and the lights are on or the lights are off, whether you're going to try to have to study by the street light streaming through your window, all of that stuff like that, that can be devastating as a child. But look at it this way. You survived it. You came out of it. You're still breathing. You're still standing. There's something in front of you greater if you just take your focus off of what you used to be and start focusing on what you have the potential to be. Become. Stop reliving old trauma. Why not now? Why not now? Why not? What's going to be different a month from now? What's going to be different a year from now? What's going to be different 5 years from now than today? There are going to still be challenges. There are going to still be pitfalls. There are going to still be resistance. There are going to still be people who don't like you. There's still going to be people who are telling you you can't do it. There are still going to be problems that you're going to have to deal with. There still may be bills due. You don't sit up and wait on the right opportunity. You create it. By understanding that perfection and opportunity does not exist, but the will of one to do what they desire to do can overcome any obstacle. Find your passion. Find that thing that just keeps picking. You know that thing. Don't act like some of you have buried it though. So I can understand you might have to go dust it off. You might have to uncover it. You might have to shine it up a little bit. You may have to polish it up a little bit. But it's time to pull that old vision out, that old dream out, that old mission, that old idea of who you are, and look at it. Some of you have taken so many bumps and bruises and given up and laid down so long that you have put it to the side and thought of it as foolish thinking. Because the world will tell you that. You got a bunch of people in your circle right now whispering the sweet nothings of negativity in your ear, talking about all the things that can't be done. And then you are looking at their lives, and because their lives don't reflect anything that you feel like you really wanted in yours, you start to say, well, maybe it just doesn't happen. Plus, it's easy to look at a bunch of people, and when you see a bunch of people that are not doing it, it makes it easier for you to accept the fact you haven't done it. But your life is not predicated upon the failures of others. It's predicated upon the energy, effort, and will you put into doing something that you say you want to do. It's that simple. You get out there. Once you decide you're going to do something, you make up in your mind, I am going to make it happen, or I'm going to die trying. Those are the only two options. I face anything in life that I say I want. I'm either going to get it or I'm going to die trying. Either way works for me. What I will not have is a testimony of my life that I backed down, a testimony of my life that I surrendered, a testimony of my life that every time I met difficulty, I folded. That will not be my testimony. See, I can live with somebody saying, man, I tell you what, he was like a pit bull. When you turned him loose and said, go get it, he went and got it, or you had to kill him. It was the only way you were going to stop him. That is the testimony that I'm putting out and I'm living in my life. No, I'm not presenting some big image of what is. I've had some unbelievably awesome years in my life, financially, relationally, being able to do things in material wealth. And I wouldn't trade anything I have now for that, because I can have that with commitment and focus. all of that, anything material can be obtained. What I'm focusing on now is having a life that speaks of who I am long after I'm gone. That legacy, the legacy that says I came, I saw, and I conquered. That life didn't rule me. That's the thing that you have to be focused on. That's the thing I'm trying to get you to understand. So you're looking at life and you keep coming up with all these reasons why you can't do it now. The kids are still here. When the kids graduate, that's when I'm going to do it. When I can get enough money to leave this job. When I can get, let me tell you something. 24 hours in a day. Or you can break it down even bigger. 86,400 seconds in a day. How you invest in that each and every day is going to determine what your future holds. Wishing and hoping and begging and talking is not going to change it, but sitting up and saying, you know what, today was a rough day. This week was a rough week. Next week's going to be greater because I'm going to put more into it. I'm going to invest more to it. I'm going to stop wasting time. See, are you maximizing your time? Or are you coasting? That's it. Why not now? Because what I can tell you is this: there is no perfect time. You're not going to have all the answers because some of the answers are only going to come after you take some of the steps. That's kind of how faith works. See, if you can see all the answers, that's not really faith, that's reason. See, faith defies reason. Faith defies what you can look at and work out in your brain. Faith simply says that if I can conceive it in my mind and believe it, I'll have it. And I don't even know how yet. But when you take that first step, a door opens that you couldn't even see before you took the step. It is when you take the first step of committing that providence begins to move. So it's a bunch of things that you won't understand until you take the first step. And so it's a lot of things that have been hidden for you for years because you're sitting up waiting on it to see it, and it's waiting on you to move. You can't outwait life and you can't outwait the universe. You're trying to wait on it to line up to you, and it's telling you, you move and I'll follow. Yeah, it's scary. I understand that. And I wish I could tell you you weren't going to get knocked down. I wish I could tell you there wasn't going to be some delay. I wish I could tell you there wasn't going to be some disappointment, some frustration, some moments that were scary, that you at some point wouldn't find yourself flat on your back. I wish I could tell you all that. That's not how it works. But what I can tell you is at some point in your life, you're going to wake up and you're going to look and you're going to have to spend most of your life. And if you got up in the morning and you went out and you operated on faith, there's going to be so much you have accomplished in life that you would not have accomplished if you'd have stayed back there waiting on it all to unfold for you. That's the reality. Will you have some scars? Yeah. Will you have some bumps and bruises? Oh, yeah. But you will have a bigger story to tell in the representation of what you've lived in your life when you step out and walk on faith. And my question as I close this out is what it was at the beginning of this. Why not now? Why not make this the day that you decide that you're going to step out and live your life? That's all I'm saying is take the first step. It doesn't even have to be a big one. It don't mean go in there tomorrow and tell the boss, you know what, go to hell. No, it don't have to be that. It could be something to sitting up when this video gets off, pulling up your computer and start researching the first step it takes to do whatever it is you want to do. Find the book that'll help you understand your wife better. Find the book that'll help you understand your husband better. Find the book that'll help you work better with your children. Whatever it is you're trying to do that you know you could be better at, but you're struggling with, it don't have to be no big major thing. We're moving because it's this environment we're in. No, you have the power to change the environment you live in. You got this God power inside of you that you're not actualizing. You talk about it a lot, but you're not living it. Stop running from your current reality and change it. Because I guarantee you, wherever you run to, it's going to be something there waiting on you. You're not going to run to a perfect situation. It's not going to happen. Look at the situation and say, I don't like this, and change it. Some of the greatest feelings of fulfillment come when you look at something in your life you don't like and you change it. not somebody else fixing it for you. You sit up and say, you know what, I don't like this. God gave me the power to change it, and I am going to change it starting today. Makeup in your mind is going to be tough, but you're built for it. And then make it happen. Look, I thank you guys for stopping in. I know y'all got to get ready. I don't want to stop nobody from missing whatever it is they got to get done today, whether it's church, whether it's family, whatever. But I needed to share this with you again. I consider it an honor to be able to share with you my experiences, what I have to offer. Again, based on popular demand, we're putting the rapid change sessions and the business breakthrough sessions back on the deck. The questionnaire is there. Fill it out, send it in. Someone will contact you to schedule a time to actually have your session with me. But whatever you do, you got to start making steps to move towards this thing you say you want in life. The moment you make steps, providence will move. That's how faith works. When you sit up and decide, you know what, I'm going to take the first step, the universe starts to conspire on your behalf. You can call it the law of attraction, you can call it faith, you can call it what you want to, but understand that this universe responds to the energy you emit when you sit up and believe something and you emit those thoughts based on that belief. The universe responds to it. It has no choice. So what are you thinking? Just something to think about. Look, I'm going to step off here. You guys have an unbelievable day. I'm out. Peace.